Almost 80% of the ocean hasn't been discovered. What are you most likely to find there? Sunken ships from all periods of the past. And treasure, and most importantly the rum. Sadly, the rum has gone. Why is the rum gone? Fishes had a great party. I think there will be a load of species that we either didn't know about or thought were extinct. Would be pretty cool to discover a dinosaur of sorts right in the deep dark ocean. Especially cool if it's Atrex. Might be those tiny arms make them great swimmers. Like little propellers. A Sea Rex. MH370. This is a great article with a very plausible theory on what may have happened. Link. Edit. Too long didn't read. Pilot was assumed to be clinically depressed based on interviews with friends and family. Planned possible suicide mission on flight simulator game. Killed all passengers and remaining crew painlessly within minutes by depressurizing cabin, while he himself wore a specialized pilot's air pressure mask before setting course over the Indian Ocean. Flew for a few more hours until sunrise, then manually crashed the plane down into the ocean to die on impact, assuming he didn't want to accidentally survive a gradual descent landing. Edit 2.0. And also, Malaysia goved his corrupt as duck and wanted to hide all the information related to the flight to take spotlight away from them, including providing false information so other countries wasted money searching the wrong ocean before new information was leaked. Edit 3. Also, some random modestly wealthy American is dedicating his life to finding flotsam from the flight in an effort to eventually find the crash site. I think it's the most plausible case, because he did a bank turn directly over where he grew up after sunrise, and then flew out into the ocean. Horrific thing to do. Rent a Cessna, asshole. I know. I would feel terrible for the guy if he'd taken the plane out on his own. But why on earth would you choose to take hundreds of innocent people with you? If this theory is true, then literally the last thing this guy did before he died was commit mass murder. Why would you actively choose for that to be the last thing you did before you died? Pilots are people too. Unfortunately, several pilots have committed suicide to try and gain notoriety, escape personal issues, etc. Some notable examples include Germanwings Flight 9525, Link 1999 Air Botswana incident, Link and the 2002 Tampa high-rise crash. Link. As a pilot myself, I find it hard to comprehend. My job is to deliver my passengers and fellow crew members to the surface of the earth safely, preferably at their intended destination. A lot of people killed by the mob. Probably just a bunch of bioluminescent creatures and small weird looking creatures. Also trash and maybe pieces of unsolved mysteries that happened out at sea. I'd expect to find some kind of artifact or fossil as well that dates back millions of years. I want gigantic sea creatures to be real, course that just be cool ASF. But sadly our friend blue whale will have to do. I hope Atlantis is a thing. Maybe some mermaids. Let's make mermaids ourselves. We select a portion of the human population and force them to live out at sea. We start slowly, only enter our ankles in water, but not allowed out for generations. And we slowly move them further out to sea. The Badger people Link is the closest human got to a mermaid. They can dive to 70 meters easily, and their lungs has evolved, so they can stay at water for more than 5 minutes. Edit, it's spleen not lungs. 80% of what we have discovered down there are creatures straight out of a horror story. So it's likely we'll discover something even more horrifying. I heard some stories of the guys that weld in the deep dark areas that have to live in pressurized containers while working. There are many stories of huge currents passing by them from something big swimming by that they can't see in the blackness. That's a nope from me. Is there any collection of these stories or related videos? Sounds super interesting. I'm mainly asking because someone somewhere on this site knows of something. I only know of one story about those pressurized vessels, and it involves explosive decompression that killed everybody inside and turned one guy into a pile of goop. The Byford dolphin accident. The Krabby Patty secret formula. Plankton has entered the chat. Weird ugly ass fish. I imagine the Simpsons movie where the squirrel has 1,000 eyes. Cities of academic fish pondering what they'll find on the 80% of land they haven't explored. They explored 20%. They decided they liked the taste of lion. We've talked to ourselves. We've communicated and said, you know what? Lion tastes good. Let's go get some more lion. We've developed a system to establish a beachhead and aggressively hunt you and your family, and we will corner your pride, your children, your offspring. We will construct a series of breathing apparatuses using kelp. Not enough for days at a time, but an hour 45. No problem. Detecting multiple Leviathan class life forms in the region. Are you certain that whatever you're doing is worth it? Dope ass Cyclops catastrophe synth music starts playing. This is why I watch the Schmidt, Okeanos, and Nautilus ocean floor survey live streams. An ocean rove manned by a team of biologists and technicians live stream their coverage of the bottom of the ocean, collecting specimens and seeing amazing things, often for hours. It's super soothing and yet extremely engaging, and the crew have a great rapport and are often full of silly marine puns. Often they run into some extremely beautiful and amazing sights, and garbage is actually quite rare, thankfully, and the campaigns last for about a week of daily 5-hour long streams every few months. It rules. Here's an example link. I wonder how much funds needed for this kind of deep sea expedition team. I work on a NSF funded deep sea oceanography research vessel, and I've been told it's around 50,000 a day for the ship, crew, food and fuel. I believe ROVs are an additional cost. I paid an extra 10k day for ROV Global Explorer, which is much smaller with more limited capabilities than Jason or others, plus loading, unloading and other fees. Maybe we can find ourselves and learn to love life again. The drain plug. I imagine there is some kind of absolutely huge lobster down there. Deep sea gigantism is a thing. Giant isopods, squid, spider crabs, sea are all far larger than their relatives that live closer to the surface. There's also the fact that lobsters never stop growing until they die and do not suffer negative effects of aging. Basically, I just wanted to talk about lobsters for a minute. Did you know lobsters have at least 2 penises? Did you know lobsters attract mates by pissing out of their eyes? Lobsters are ducking cooler shit. Edit damn. Y'all. I didn't expect this post to blow up like this. Anyway, did you guys know that California spiny lobsters apparently taste better than Maine lobsters? But they aren't eaten in large numbers here, as the vast majority are exported to China. Did you guys know that California spiny lobsters scare away predators by using their huge antennae to make a loud noise that sounds like a train stopping? Has the squad heard that female California spiny lobsters have a small claw near one of their pussies for some reason? Did you guys know that 2 of the California spiny lobster's main predators are the linkard? Did you all know the linkard isn't a ling? And it isn't a cod? And the cab isn't? 2 of the only fish in the world that have blue meat. How about how Langostino lobsters aren't lobsters at all but are actually more closely related to hermit crabs? I love information about lobsters, but I did learn recently that they do have a size limit. It's mostly due to becoming too big to move eat. Also, the larger they get, the thicker the shell has to be to hold back the pressure, so they do have an upper limit. It's massive though. Edit. I have been informed that the shell does nothing to resist the pressure. It is still an issue, just not because of the shell. Also, lobsters need to shed their shells every so often. Sometimes they are eaten when they are doing this, but some older crabs and lobsters physically do not have the energy to molt and grow a new shell and die of exhaustion. Look up lobster molting if you think you can handle it. Now it makes it worse. Imagine seeing a big ass lobster shell, knowing that it simply means there's a bigger one out there now. Crushing water pressure. Probably some silt, a few fish. Our Lord Cthulhu. Nothing out of the ordinary. Mermaids, but not like we imagine them. Probably scary. No a-hole here. They all sexy and shit. They comb their hair all day on the rocks. I've seen them at Disneyland. Water mostly. Who are you? So wise in the ways of science. You Ragnar's 85. It says it right there. No way. Do that again. Plastic garbage. What's sad is that plastic has already been discovered at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Scientists predicted it would eventually happen, but not so soon. Very sad. It was not what the scientists expect. A plastic bag on the ocean floor. Danger. The 5 ocean zones are as follows: the sunlight zone, the twilight zone, the midnight zone, the abyssal zone, the danger zone. Sea base, with lasers. Opportunity. Not that much, depending on how you view it. The oceans are mostly vast deserts, so to speak, in that there are very few life forms in the open seas. Obviously there are things out there, but compared to the shores or the reefs, they're pretty empty. The other thing is, once you go far enough out, the seafloor drops a lot, and you don't get sunlight reaching the floor, so there's no plant life for a lot of it, and it's pitch black. But that being said, there are strange and alien creatures in the deep, stuff very unlike what we see on land, or in the shallow waters. Plus, there's the ocean itself, massive currents that affect the entire planet, layers of water with big temperature and salinity differences. Most of the water won't have seen daylight for hundreds of thousands of years. I expect we wouldn't find anything super new or different to what we see now. We will likely find some new species, but as to whether they'll be drastically different to what we already know, well, who knows. There might be interesting stuff on the floor itself. We've found new continents and stuff over the years. What if there's a bunch of UFOs down there somewhere? Bruh. Hopefully, fossils of an undiscovered dinosaur species. Going out on a limb here. Fish of some kind. Davy Jones. All my damn odd socks from my washing machine. Swear they treat it like the Thunderdome. 2 socks enter, 1 sock leaves. Water, and some monsters. Lost socks. There were an absolute mountain of lost socks. Missing Malaysia airline plane. No, but this actually scares me. I hate the ocean, because of the fact that most of it is still undiscovered. I have no idea what could be down there, and I think that's the scariest thing about it, to be honest. I imagine some kinds of terrifying fish creatures. If it's any comfort, the creatures down there are used to immense pressure. They couldn't come to the surface, let alone leave the water, for extended periods of time if at all. And bold claims of thriving sentient life in the ocean aren't realistic either, since we have satellite maps of the seafloor, and we'd have noticed artificial structures like cities. Something we haven't seen before, such as, I don't know, we haven't seen it. My missing socks. There is sentient life down there, and in they have a show-like sea quest, but it's the opposite. I'm still waiting for mermaids. Huge unimaginable forces of nature, at the boundaries of the tectonic plates, where volcanic and subduction forces shape the bottom of the seafloor. There are entire mountain ranges under the oceans we have never seen. There are volcanoes. There is life that lives independently from sunlight, and its metabolism is like that of aliens from other worlds. Tentacle octopus from Anim. Fish. Have you heard of the mystery of the untouchable bathysphere fish? Link. A lucky naturalist in a submarine described several species of unknown fish that are only known from his own detailed eyewitness account and some artists' depictions of the deep sea creatures. He was unable to capture them for study, so whether or not these mysterious fish were real and out there still waiting to be discovered may forever remain a mystery. The ocean is a big ass place. Duck knows what's living in the deepest and darkest depths. Godzilla. Megalodon. A living mosasaur. The bloop. Who knows? Big things. Scary things. Barely but technically alive things. And a duck ton of mostly empty space. Most living things clustered around geothermal vents and or along fault lines. Oh, and crabs. They seem to be everywhere underwater. And I don't mean the chubby shore-based ones. I mean spindly creepy spider ones having creepy spindly spider raids in the currents of the deep sea, waving their clackers around like Mobby has just plugged in the synth. A bunch of garbage.